Trump doing all this has pissed off Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Venezuela's president gives message to Donald Trump and to all Americans. Oh, does he? Does he now? Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has doubled down on calls for peace as U.S. President Donald Trump reportedly mulls over options for military operations inside the country and places an enormous amount of firepower close to Venezuela's coast. Stop sending drug boats to our shores and we will stop blowing up those drug boats. At least 80 people have been killed. At least 20 strikes. Yada, yada, yada. What to know? Maduro told a CNN reporter he wished for peace across South America and for, quote, no more endless wars, no more unjust wars, unquote. When probed on Thursday on what he would like to convey to the American people during a rally in the country's capital. Yeah, he is definitely trying to keep the peace domestically. There's a whole rebellion going on. No more Libya, no more Afghanistan. Here's the thing, though. With those, there were never any stated end goals. Okay, we were only there for the oil. It had nothing to do with peace in the region. It had nothing to do with regime change. It had nothing to do with like destroying any kind of specific targets, right? It had everything to do with being there to defend the oil and as part of like the US's global police initiative that they've been fucking dealing with, right? Where for some reason America has to police the entire planet, which I'm down for, but only if the entire planet belongs to America, okay? I think that's only fair. Alright, so is that all he said? Just calling for peace, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. Calling for peace. Obviously he's calling for peace. Why wouldn't he call for peace? Question, though. Why the hell do people hate this guy so much? Well, that is a good question. Because this is the US State Department.gov. This is the Department of State's page on Nicolas Maduro Moros, I guess is how you would pronounce his name. So let's see. This is their their profile on him. Let's see what we learn about this guy, huh? Okay, so I don't care about his date of birth. I don't care where he was born. Apparently he's 6'3". Why is everybody just bigger than me, man? Like, this sucks. Scars, tattoos, and marks, unknown. Bullshit. I bet he has tattoos. Became president of Venezuela following Hugo Chavez's death. Yeah, following the death of fucking Chavez, which, if I remember correctly, was under very suspicious circumstances. And declared victory in the presidential election in 2018. In 2019, a National Assembly of Venezuela invoked the Venezuelan Constitution and declared that Maduro had usurped power and was not the president of Venezuela. Yeah, this is when the fucking military went, listen, guys, no, we're not doing that. Since 2019, more than 50 countries, including the United States, have refused to recognize Maduro as Venezuela's head of state. Okay, so, like, yeah, he's calling for peace because he fucking has to try and save face. In the July 2024 Venezuelan presidential election, Maduro again declared himself the victor, despite evidence to the contrary. Yeah, well, he's already the president. He can just declare that he won, right? The United States joined many other countries in refusing to recognize Maduro as the legitimately elected president of the 2024 contested election in Venezuela. Okay, Maduro helped manage and ultimately led the Cartel of the Suns, okay, a designated domestic terrorist organization, a Venezuelan drug trafficking organization comprised of high-ranking Venezuelan officials. People in the government are part of the terrorist organization. This is the definition of a terrorist of a narco-terrorist state, okay? Flat out. I'm not making this shit up. They're a fucking drug cartel that runs the State Department of Venezuela. Make them the 51st state. Get rid of these terrorist bastards. Maduro negotiated multi-ton shipments of... I don't know what FARC is. Did I just miss something? He gained power in Venezuela. Maduro participated in a corrupt and violent narco-terrorist conspiracy with the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, FARC. Oh, okay, all right, so that's what it is. A designated foreign terrorist organization. So the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia is also a designated terrorist organization. Interesting. Maduro negotiated multi-ton shipments of the terrorist-produced cocaine, directed the Cartel of the Suns to provide military-grade weapons to this terrorist organization, and then coordinated with narcotics traffickers in Honduras and other countries to facilitate large-scale drug trafficking. Interesting! It's almost like he's a terrorist cartel member. It's almost like Venezuela is a narco-terror state. In essence, as an armed forces unit of the Cartel of the Suns. Yep, fair enough. Oh, Jesus Christ. In March 2020, Maduro was charged in the Southern District of New York for narco-terrorism. In New York. Conspiracy to import cocaine, possession of machine guns and destructive devices, and conspiracy to possess machine guns and destructive devices. Are we following along? He's a high-ranking member of a foreign terrorist organization. Like, just the definition of. Okay? This is not a good guy. After initially offering a reward offer of up to $15,000, the information leading to Maduro, in January of 2025, it was increased to a reward of up to $25 million, and in August it was increased to $50 million. After the Department of Treasury sanctioned the Cartel of the Suns as a specially designated global terrorist organization in July 25th of this year. See, Cartel of the Suns, global terrorist organization. As leader of the Cartel of the Suns, Maduro is the first target in the history of the narcotics rewards program with a reward offer exceeding $25 million. $50 million is apparently an extremely large fucking bounty for these people. But yeah, so he is the head of a major cartel that is working with other foreign terrorist organizations, providing both material support in the way of purchasing cocaine, but also physical support in the way of supplying them with guns and security. So that's fucking interesting. You know what? I don't fucking like this guy either. So who are the Cartel of the Suns? Is this just like, this is a bad group, right? Maybe it's just a bad guy. No. This is a fucking bad group. This is the Wikipedia article on the Cartel of the Suns. So the Cartel of the Suns, or Cartel de los Soles, or Soles, or de los Soles, or something, is an informal Venezuelan criminal organization allegedly headed by high-ranking members of the armed forces of Venezuela. High-ranking members of the Venezuelan military, who are involved in international drug trade. According to Hector Landeta, a journalist and author of Narco-Trafficking and the Military, the phenomenon began when Colombian drugs began to enter into Venezuela from corrupt border units, and the, quote, rot moved its way up the ranks, unquote. Yeah, that's how it works. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And also, a lot of fucking money will corrupt a lot of fucking people. The involvement of high-ranking members of the Venezuelan armed forces and of the Bolivarian regime in drug trafficking is widely documented. Yeah, no, apparently it is. And the term Cartel of the Suns was first used in 1993 as a journalistic label for this phenomenon. Into the 2020s, the nature of the organizational structure of the Cartel of the Suns became a subject of dispute. In 2020, the U.S. Department of Justice announced the indictment of Nicolas Maduro and 14 other current and former Venezuelan officials for narco-terrorism, corruption, and drug trafficking, accusing them of acting as, quote, leaders and managers, unquote, of the Cartel of the Suns. So, 5 fucking years ago, they indicted Nicolas Maduro and 14 other high-ranking people. All right. Jesus Christ. In 1993, the term Cartel of the Suns was first used when allegations of the 2 National Guard generals of the Anti-Drug National Command, that guy and that guy, were investigated for drug trafficking crimes. The term came from the general emblems that looked like suns on their uniforms. Okay. There are groups within the branches of the armed forces of Venezuela, such as the Venezuelan Army, the Venezuelan Navy, Venezuelan Air Force, and Venezuelan National Guard, from the lowest to the highest level of personnel. Okay, well, and then it goes off to list a bunch of high-level officials in the military that are connected. A bunch of low-level officials. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. A bunch of low-level officials. Well, they don't really list a bunch of low-level. It says allegedly lower-ranking National Guardsmen compete for positions at border checkpoints so they can be paid bribes for illicit trade. Yeah, because that's how it works. It's like, hey, so I'm going to give you $5,000 every month to shut your fucking mouth and let us just kind of get through here unchecked. And as long as you keep doing that, that money will keep getting into your account. But the moment you start causing problems, I'm going to shoot your family. That's how that works. Okay, yeah, so apparently the Cartel of the Suns is also just not at all a good fucking group of people. Weird. So this is from Fox. Trump puts Venezuela on notice with new cartel crackdown operations. So this, I'm hoping, goes into more context about like the new stuff that they're putting on the Venezuelan border. I'm hoping. Like we all know, I don't pre-watch these things because I want my reactions to be as genuine as they possibly can be. So this is Fox News. This is their YouTube page. Go and watch the video. You can see it. You can subscribe. You can like the video. On my YouTube page, I will link this in the description. Definitely go and check it out. Also, while you're there, subscribe to my channel. Like my channel, okay? Hit the notification bell so you can see when I post videos, okay? I upload videos 4 to 5 days a fucking week on YouTube. I work hard, damn it. And I deserve some recognition from you guys, alright? Definitely subscribe to me. That's all I'm saying.
Have you made up your mind on what you'd like to do for as far as action?
I sort of made up my mind, too. I mean, I can't tell you what it would be, but I sort of made it.
President Trump puts Venezuela on notice as the Pentagon launches Operation Southern Spear. This is now a named operation to
hell yeah
target narco-terrorist networks across Latin America. Let's break it all down here at the wall. About 25% of all deployed U.S. warships are now in the Caribbean with the arrival of USS Gerald Ford, the newest and largest warship in the U.S. Navy's inventory, joined by dozens of other warships, including guided missile destroyers, have a few guided missile cruisers in there, Lake Erie, USS Iwo Jima, an amphibious assault ship, of course, loaded out with 2,000 Marines in full combat load. All taking place, of course, just here off.
Look at that spread, my boy. You. Venezuela, I'm sorry. You can put as many... Look, so in addition to... So the U.S. sent all of these forces down there, along with about 15,000 like actual people, and Venezuela put 200,000 people on the beach. Like, can I just say one of these helicopters will kill all 200,000 of those people? one of these Tomahawk missiles. What? Oh my god, dude.
The coast
they might as well have sticks, like, for real.
of Venezuela. And don't forget, we have B-52 bombers from Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. We have fifth-generation F-35 fighter jets and road.
I want to be clear. All indigenous peoples exist because they are allowed to exist by the more technologically advanced society.
Roosevelt roads.
The U.S. has Amish people because the U.S. lets Amish people live that way, all right?
Puerto Rico over here. That's an old Navy base that has been shuttered for many years, now back. And of course, all this to combat the narco-terrorists that have been smuggling drugs across the Caribbean. And there's been 20 strikes.
Also, I want to be clear. I want Cuba, too. I want Jamaica. I want all of that. Everything there. Gulf of America, Mexico, all the way down to the Panama Canal. Okay, I want the Caribbean Sea. I want that. We'll call it the American Sea. Okay, we'll get the Gulf of America. I want all of that island chain. I want everything. All right, all of it. I'm not saying Cuba can keep their fucking nationality, because they can't. All right, they can keep their non-heinous customs. And non-heinous parts of their culture. They can keep that crap if they want to. They can celebrate their own holidays and such. But they do need to be part of the U.S. Imperialist state. That's all I'm saying.
These suspected drug smuggling vessels killing dozens. And right here, you also see the oilers have arrived here as well. Of course, when the USS Gerald Ford arrives, it's the newest aircraft carrier. You have to refuel that. Of course, it has 2 nuclear
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like 8 fucking Jesus Christ.
Aircraft. And
hold on. Those Blackhawks?
Bombers, of course,
oh, no.
You have F-35s. We talked about that in Puerto Rico. Again, about a quarter of all U.S. Navy warships.
I don't know how many Blackhawks they have, but they only need 1.
Ships deployed in the world right now are here off the coast of Venezuela in the Caribbean, ready for any potential orders from the commander-in-chief to...
Oh, so Trump is fucking serious about this, bro. Like, this is happening. Oh, he's sending some bombers. That's not good. And they're gonna do like a whole operation here. That's interesting. Okay.
Right. With that, let's bring in our guest, Rebecca Heinrichs, Hudson Institute Senior Fellow and Foreign Policy Expert, no stranger to the program. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning, Lucas.
Rebecca.
Good
How
to
are
see
you?
you.
Do you think regime change is possible in Venezuela? Something we've heard many questions asked to President Trump.
Well, I think that President Trump and Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been pretty clear that this is really to pressure the regime to stop sending drugs. That it's
yeah. Look, we've tried it the nice way, where we say, hey, stop sending drugs, or we're gonna blow up your boats. They didn't listen to the nice way, so now we're just blowing up their boats, and they're fucking listening now.
The Maduro regime is a narco-terrorist organization. It allows its territory to be used for the shipment of drugs, trafficking, and so that is the primary reason that has been given. But as you point out, Lucas, that's a lot of firepower in the region, and so I think really it's a...
Yeah, it is. Masters of proportional response, that's all I'm saying.
It's an enormous effort to pressure Maduro to stop this narco-terrorism, but also I think it also is to perhaps incentivize some of the military around Maduro, potentially to pressure Maduro to leave, to maybe encourage Maduro to leave on his own. I'm very skeptical that he will. I'm also very skeptical, Lucas, that the United States is going to go forward with what would amount to the necessary force needed for regime change to something more peaceful in the region.
One of the things we talked about with all these warships in the Ford strike group, of course, the guided missile destroyers and some of the cruisers that are out there, of course, they're armed with dozens of Tomahawk cruise missiles. If President Trump were to order some kind of strikes on Venezuela, what would the target set look like, Rebecca? And should force be necessary, would you be recommending strikes against the Maduro regime inside Venezuela?
I do recommend it. If it is necessary, fucking do it. If you are an innocent bystander and you live in Venezuela, you shouldn't live in Venezuela right now. You should leave. You should get out of there with your family, because there will be collateral damage, and I don't want you to be a part of it. Now, if you are not, by all means, stay. Nothing's going to happen. Nothing at all.
Venezuela.
Well, President Trump's administration has been really pretty close, keeping its cards close to its vest about what some of the intelligence they have and what they're actually looking at inside Venezuela. So I wouldn't be able to give advice, but I would say that if there are strikes, I would speculate that those strikes would be against the cartels, drugs specifically, not targets that would threaten the Maduro regime proper. The reason for that, Lucas, is that the Maduro regime is obviously militarily inferior to the United States, but it's also backed by the Russians and the Chinese and the Cubans. And we learned this back in 2019 when the Russians sent forces into Venezuela to kind of back Maduro and to intimidate the United States. So I think it would be a mess for the United States to get involved in regime change specifically, because it would take a lot of U.S. power to get opposition forces that we want, the pro-democracy people, in power in Venezuela. So I think this is more intimidation, Lucas, and then...
Yeah, the problem is that the pro-democracy people that are in Venezuela right now are currently being shut up and killed and disappeared by the narco-terror state that is in charge violently.
Also, the strikes would be against...
by the way, the narco-terror state that is led by Nicolas Maduro, because he's one of the leaders of the Cartel of the Suns, who is a domestic terror organization, a foreign terror organization that supports other foreign terror organizations, both militarily and financially. So, take that what you will.
The cartel organizations and the cocaine operations that is ongoing in Venezuela.
Yep.
And one of the assets not listed on the board, of course, are Reaper drones. That's what's been carrying out the vast majority of those strikes on those drug boats. Let's look ahead, Rebecca.
Yep. The Obama administration was droning 16-year-old American citizens, and Trump is droning cartel members who are shipping drugs into the United States. This is a W for Trump. That's all I'm saying.
This week, when President Trump hosts the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, what are you looking?
America's fucking back, and some people can't be reasoned with. So, look, this is going to sound bad, but sometimes violence is, in fact, the answer.
To come out of these meetings?
Well, obviously, the big goal here is if you had progress towards Saudi normalization with Israel, adding the Saudi government to the Abraham Accords.
How likely is that to happen?
I think it's still not yet. I think it's still probably premature, but that's always the goal because of Saudi Arabia's significance in the Muslim world. Obviously, it's the home of Medina and Mecca, key holy sites for the Islamic community. And so to have that progress would be massive for greater stabilization in the Middle East. I think that this is going to be more United States collaborating with the Saudis militarily, greater integration, the weapon sales from the United States going to Saudi Arabia. And all of that would be good because we don't want the Saudis to be buying weapons from the Chinese. So we want to pull the Saudis more into our corner.
Quick yes or no, Rebecca, to put you on the spot. Should F-35 stealth fighter jets be sold to the Saudis?
I think it would be okay as long as the Israelis do not oppose. And the Israeli government said as long as normalization.
I think that we should sell the F-35s to them. But actually, no, I don't. I don't think that we should do that because, as far as I'm aware, the F-35 is the most advanced fighter jet that the U.S. has. Now, there probably is some that are still in production, or some sixth generation, which I don't think the F-35 is. I'm sure that there is some other technology that the U.S. has with regards to with stealth fighters. However, I don't think that we should sell the F-35. If the F-35 is meant to replace the F-22 Raptor, I think that we should start selling the Raptors. Now, I can see why we wouldn't want to because of the dominance the Raptor has in the sky. But if the 35 is supposed to replace the F-22, then I think that we should sell the older of the model, right? I don't think that we should give them the top of the line stuff that we have. But that's just that's a me thing. Maybe they know something that I don't. They probably do. But again, you're not going to sell your best shit. You keep that for you. Sell the rest of it because you don't need it, right?
Comes first. They would be comfortable with that sale.
Well, thank you, Rebecca Heinrichs. Appreciate you stopping by.
Thanks, Lucas.
I'm Steve Ducey.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Trump's fucking absolutely putting them on notice. All of the world is a game of Risk, and America needs to win. Definitely subscribe to me on YouTube. Subscribe on Rumble if you're tired of YouTube. Subscribe on, follow me, I suppose, on X at @real_Cecil. I make based opinions on the internet, and I'm just an overall cool guy to hang out with. Or at least as far as I'm concerned, anyway. Again, I talk to myself a lot, but that's okay. Eventually, I will not be talking to myself. I was labeled a Russian bot on X recently, so I'm making progress. All right, bye.